ever feel disconnected from the body? Maybe
Mm.
you feel like your mind is in one world and the body is in another world. Do you ever get those feelings like your body is rebelling or your body is against you or you feel out of control? We're going to have a conversation today about reconnecting with your embodied sense of self so that you can remember who you are in your body and not just in your mind. We're going to talk all about emotional outsourcing, and I think you're going to absolutely love this conversation.
Let's tell you a little bit about our guest. So, Beatriz Victoria Albina, she is a nurse practitioner. She also has a master's in public health. We love that over here. She is a University of California, San Francisco trained family nurse practitioner, somatic experiencing practitioner, master certified somatic life coach, and breathwork meditation guide. She helps women connect with their bodies, regulate their nervous systems, and overcome codependency, perfectionism, and people pleasing. Bea hosts the Feminist Wellness Podcast and holds degrees from Boston University and Oberlin College. She was born in Argentina and raised in Rhode Island and has worked with health and wellness for over 20 years. And she's just incredible. I am so excited for you all to listen to this episode, learn a little bit about emotional outsourcing and embodiment. Shall we get into it?
Let's do it. So, I'm really excited to learn about emotional outsourcing, to hear about your work and what you're doing in the world. And so, I was just sort of curious if you could start by helping the audience get to know you and who you are as a person, your why, your story, how you got here.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I will say there's this part of my brain that when someone says, "How did you get here?" it immediately wants to say on the six, which I think you have to be of a certain age. Thank you for laughing. I appreciate that. 90s J Lo forever. Yeah, so my my name's Beatriz Victoria Albina. I am a UCSF trained family nurse practitioner. I am a master certified somatic life coach, somatic experiencing practitioner, breathwork meditation facilitator. I also have a master's degree in public health, and I am host of the Feminist Wellness Podcast. Yay, MPHs. I love when people are like, "Is that miles per hour?" I say, "Yes, it
Yeah.
is." That's my
That's
speed.
awesome.
I keep that in my credentials just so you know I'm fast. Watch out. And I have a book coming out. Nicole, we have the same Wendy, the same agent, which is so lovely because big shout out to Wendy Sherman. And my book comes out in September. It's called End Emotional Outsourcing, Your Guide to Overcoming Codependent Perfectionist and People Pleasing Habits. And I do this work because I really saw this pattern in my patients for years and years and years and years and years, where I would do all the like right things by them, the right GI maps and the Dutch and the blood work and the test and the supplement and the test and the nutrition and the more supplement and the more nutrition and the everything. And they'd get better. And then they get unbetter. And then a little better, but then a little unbetter. And so I just started asking them to map it, to help me and them see what the patterns were. And I really started to see these strong correlates between I got laid off and my Crohn's is worse. I'm getting married and I'm so stressed out by all the planning, and all of a sudden, what's happening with my TPO? Why is my thyroid doing this weird, right? Or my tummy hurts, or I can't stop pooping myself, or like whatever my patients were dealing with, right? And the more we could sort of really map that on to both the circumstances of life and the ways they were reacting habitually to those circumstances of life, I could really start to see the impact of what I now call emotional outsourcing, which is my term for our codependent, perfectionist, and people pleasing habits. It's kind of in the title of the book, so it gives away the whole like, here's the surprise. But I came up with that term because I didn't like any of the old terms. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of played out. Like what is codependency?
Hmm.
Can either of you
Mhm.
define it? Because it's wishy-washy at best, right?
Totally.
And as a nerd, I want a solid definition. I want I want tests. I want, right? Like there's the Holyoke Index is the only clinical test we can do to like not even diagnose codependency, it's so, I don't know, I can't even grasp it. But what I can definitely grasp is this idea of our sense of safety, worth, and belonging, the three essential human needs, not being something we locate within ourselves, being something we think we have to get from everyone and everything outside of ourselves, not having the capacity in our nervous systems, in our soma, to really turn inward to find our safety. And that's what I believe keeps us in this spiral of emotional outsourcing, of thinking we need everyone else to validate us all the time, everyone else to approve of us. We need to manage everyone else's thoughts, everyone else's feelings. We need to keep them happy. I was talking with a client yesterday who was like, I'm so exhausted because my husband hates his job, which means he comes home grumpy every day. And I have to manage that.
Mm.
And she really believes that it's her job to manage his emotions for him. And that's emotional outsourcing in a nutshell, right? We don't take care of our emotions because we're so busy caring for everyone else's and running their lives. And this was the pattern I saw over and over and over again in clinic in subtle and overt ways that led me to put classically clinical medicine aside and really focus on the nervous system, somatics, and mental health as, for me, the rootiest root cause medicine there possibly can be.
Oh, it's so good. It's like, I'm only okay if you're okay. Right.
100%. Yeah.
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 And then it's my job, my like
Yes.
written in stone role in this life,
Yes.
in this family, in this situation to fix how you feel, which is also, we don't even realize how condescending and like we don't realize how patronizing it is,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're a
Mm.
grown up, but I don't think you can handle your life. I just wrote a whole
Yeah.
podcast about this. Like, over functioning is telling the people in our lives we don't trust them to manage their own human lives.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we think we're taking care of someone, but really we're manipulating them, essentially.
Totally. And like, this is the point where like it's unwitting, right? No one's blaming you, no one's shaming you, because that's the old paradigm, right?
Yeah.
Your character is defective. There's something wrong with you. If you care too much, you've had a like codependent slip, right? There's all this really pejorative, disease focused language for these
Mm.
habits. But my work really is to reframe it within both a socio-political lens and a survival brilliance lens. Like, how amazing is it that a 6-year-old was like, listen up. Dad comes home grumpy and then mom fawns. And if my brother and I are loud, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. So I'm going to manage these people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
6 and I'm the eldest born daughter and I'm going to manage these people. I think she's brilliant. I think that 6-year-old deserves an Oscar, a Tony. She should just EGOT from Jump, maybe a Nobel Prize. We should celebrate that kiddo that learned to be an emotional outsourcer. And then
Totally.
obviously help her 45-year-old self friggin' cut it out. But celebrate the brilliance. Way to go, baby. You're
Totally.
amazing.
Well, and even as an adult, as
Yeah.
the 6-year-old grows up, it's like life feels a lot easier if I just manage everyone else's emotions.
Dude, we need to say that though,
Yeah.
right? Because I think we're
Yeah.
not saying that. We're just problematizing and, oh, you need to fix this and how dare you, and just looking at the bad, but we don't name, yeah, it gets you in the C-suite. Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets you a successful looking marriage. Yeah, it gets you less fighting and less conflict. And if your nervous system is so altered and triggered and activated by conflict, well, yeah, you're getting what you can handle, right?
Yeah.
Will still caveat it doesn't actually serve you because you're living half a life.
Right.
But right, let's praise it. Because when
Hmm.
we're praising ourselves, we're in ventral vagal, we're chill, we're right. Right.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And like the curious paradox, what did Carl Rogers say? The curious paradox is only when I fully and completely accept myself, then I can change.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
I
Exactly.
like the approach of it being a superhero skill, an
Yeah.
adaptive mechanism, as
Yep.
opposed to so much of, I think, our culture is you're broken. You have to unlearn these patterns. You're doing something
Yeah.
wrong. but that pivot to, you know what, that 6-year-old, you were incredible. Like what an incredible adaptation you've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, baby. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Argentine and we are metaphor heavy as a people. I like to think about these skills as baby sweaters, and they fit
Mhm.
you when you were a little tiny baby and a little kiddo. And there's nothing wrong with the sweater. Like, you don't look through that box, that box your mom has in the attic. You don't look through it and go, "Ugh, this is the worst sweater. I hate this sweater. I'm so mad at it." You're like, this used to fit me. I was
Mhm.
Mm.
smaller. I had different needs because I was small, and it fit me. And we can just accept it for what is it. It's just not the right size anymore. It doesn't fit the you you're stepping into. Get a bigger sweater. That's it.
So somebody So, and oftentimes somebody will learn patterns, and they often say, like, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So, we will somatically re experience, or we will find ourselves drawn to situations where it's just a different stage. It's all the same
Right.
actors.
Right.
And so when somebody has this sweater on because of this environment where that sweater is necessary, it's cold, it's dangerous, they need the sweater, and then they perhaps start to awaken to the sweater, the sleeves are too short, it's a little bit too
Mm,
tight, I'm suffering, and yet my environment is largely unchanged, perhaps because I haven't gotten out, or perhaps because I've recreated it. For somebody who's kind of in that liminal space, what can we do?
mm. Kitten steps.
Yeah,
So
kitten steps.
baby steps are a foolish invitation. That's like 2 inches. That's way too big. Don't do it. You're gonna you're gonna fall on your little snout. And then what's gonna happen? You're gonna go into sympathetic activation. You're gonna be meanie pants to you. You're gonna go into freeze. You're not gonna do no kind of nothing. Where's your motivation? Where's your dopamine? You're done. Forget it. I'm not gonna change. I'll be dead soon. It's fine. Right? And so you stay in the cold sweater environment. So, what we seek to do in my world is take the tiniest, little teeny tiny newborn kitten steps. So tiny, so small, and slow. They get fast quickly, but we take the little slow ones. And we start making micro changes where we can, starting with our relationship to self. So, when we've been in cold sweater environment, we're shut down, right? We're not feeling our body because, again, why would we? We're not fools. We're numb to the sensations within, or we're in that like hyper activated body, right? But let's start with what I see more often, which is people numbed out to themselves. Does that seem fair? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great start.
definitely.
Right on. And so we start with building micro awareness in areas that are, we're very well trained as clinicians not to say will not trigger you, but come on, you're going to get triggered over a cup of tea, maybe, but unlikely. Start with holding your cup of tea. Feel the heat, feel the weight, and take 2 breaths to feel into your body. If you feel nothing, great, cool. You'll have tea later. But start to build this micro awareness of how your environment is interacting with your body and what your body is telling you about the environment. With something so low on the trigger truck train is not going to happen. And we start to let that ripple outward to having more and more awareness of yourself as an individual creature in the systems you're in.
Mm.
Because we get so inured, right? Someone's yelling or someone's cutting us down or someone's doing whatever they do. And it's become so normalized that we don't hear our bodies saying, "Girl, get me out of here." So we got to start by reconnecting to the animal, letting the body lead us into a greater and deeper awareness. And then we need to really start working towards making change, right? And so for that, I think we need to remember that these self-same systems, white supremacy, late-stage capitalism, the patriarchy, that were part and parcel of our adopting emotional outsourcing skills, they want us to be alone. Because when we're alone and when we're isolated, when we're trapped in systems like family systems, relationships, toxic work environments, we don't have the power to make change because humans are social animals, right? Mutual aid is everything for us. Community is everything for us, right? So as we build that self-awareness and that capacity to be present within ourselves, we need to start reaching out and building and rebuilding, for many of us, community, connection, support. Because that's the thing that, my clients by and large don't have robust friend systems, don't have robust community systems. We also know this is, particularly here in the US, a really big issue, right? Of loneliness across the board, which we
Mhm.
know is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And at least that made us look cool in the 90s, right? Because we looked cool smoking cigarettes in the 90s, not anymore, but back then we did. So I just want to give the praise to the 90s once more. So we build community, right? And by slowly building community, we slowly build that support that our nervous systems need so that we can begin to make change in our environment. But you're right, sick systems keep us sick. And so if we're in environments where we're not getting support, we're not getting care, where emotional outsourcing is demanded of us, it does put a sort of outer boundaried limit on how much we can change and still stay within that system. So then we need to do grief work, right?
Mm.
And anger and grief goes, hand in hand. And so we need to allow ourselves to feel anger at the systems, at the people, at the machine, and allow the grief that comes from that, because it's sad and that's okay, right? But so many of us who live in that dorsal and that functional freeze and that shutdown don't allow ourselves sadness because we fear it'll wildly overwhelm us. Understandable. Again, come back to the cup of tea, right? The more you can build that somatic presence with yourself and a capacity to be with your sensorial experience of life, the more bandwidth, the more ground, the more capacity you have to be with the feelings that we're not going to lie around here that are more likely to knock you off your center, like big anger and big grief, right? So
So
that's
Mm.
where
how
I'd
does this
start.
look? How's that look practically? So you have a
Oh,
client
yeah.
and she's sitting in your office
Yeah.
and you're noticing that she's wearing a little coat and she's eager to learn about kitten steps and she's scared but willing to learn about holding that cup of tea and just noticing her
Mm,
body.
yeah.
So someone who's listening, they're like, "Okay, okay, I'm
What do I do?
interested. What do
Yeah.
I do?"
Yeah, right on. First of all, 10 extra points to you. You already had 100% score on my card because your book is incredible and you're incredible. But I love that you're carrying this metaphor through, and it makes me extra love you. I just want to say that
Oh,
publicly to the world.
Dr.
Yeah.
Nicole is like queen of metaphors.
It's
Like,
just
yes.
so dreamy because I, as a metaphor based animal, put them out and they just often just like plunk into the water. So it's really just doing my heart a lot of good.
Oh,
So
I
thank you.
I hold your metaphors. Yes.
Thank you. Well, another one of my favorites, and this will sort of loop in, is Be the Cake.
Yeah,
Right. So cake
I
is
like
amazing. Yeah,
yes.
beginning, middle, and end of story. Cake is amazing. But we come to believe that we need other people to be our icing. And we have
Mhm.
to just allow ourselves to be the cake and let other people be the icing, not the thing that completes us. Because you are cake and you are perfect. You don't need anything. But other people, sure, they can be your icing, right? So, like when I talk about validation, I love validation. I'm an Argentine, New York Leo. Tell me my hair looks good. Tell me you like my outfit. Tell me you like my walk. Somebody stopped me on the street last week and was like, "Girl, I like your walk." I was like, "What?" Yes.
Oh,
Validate
thank
me. But I
you.
think I know exactly. I was like, oh, thanks, Union Square. I don't need it to feel good about myself, but I sure do like it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for ADHDing with me. Let's come back to the center. We went astray. We come back. How do we start doing this? Well, you spoke of the woman in my office. So I don't do that anymore. I work in community. Yeah. So all my programs are collective because we need each other. And so we
Mhm.
start from jump doing this work in my world. There's nothing wrong with one-on-ones if that's what works for you as a patient, as a provider, ba, ba, ba. But in my world, we do groups, we do collective because I believe in order to see ourselves, we need to see ourselves in each other. And it's what I've seen, having run these programs for gosh, so many years now, is that when we see what we're suffering with and cannot name through someone else's eyes, it gives us, first of all, empathy, compassion, care for the other, which we can then mirror back to ourselves.
Mm.
So, um, so I direct us towards the collective and towards orienting, grounding in the collective space as our first step once we realize we're all in here because we're all wearing those teeny tiny sweaters. And then we do things like carrying the tea together, right? And so we bring tea to group, we hold it, we talk about the experience, right? Someone says, oh, I like the way the handle feels. Oh, I hadn't considered that. And we start to very slowly open our hearts up to other people mirroring back our wounding and allowing that to be okay. In this process, we learn how to do really simple things like orient our nervous system. Yeah, when we've been wearing the tiny emotional outsourcing sweater, our nervous systems are disoriented, dysregulated, meaning they don't know when we are. You probably have talked about this quite a bit on the show, so I'll be quick with it. But one of the big things when we get triggered and activated is we're 6 again. Yeah, the nervous system can't exactly tell time, as it were. And so what we get to do in the process of setting better boundaries, setting limits, saying no, reclaiming our time, reclaiming our lives from outsourcing is help our bodies and our nervous systems come back to the now. And we simply do that by orienting, by looking around the room, by looking around the space. Just doing that, my whole body just down regulates. Yeah. And just helping ourselves come back to here. We ground a lot because, again, we leave our bodies. So we spend a lot of time really re-inhabiting our physical animal. One of my favorite, would you mind if I shared a practice that's so simple?
Please do,
Oh,
yes.
great. So this is one of my favorites. I teach it the first day of Anchored, my program, and we do it a lot together. It's called This Is My Arm. And it's a practice of reclamation that really helps us to orient, to ground, and to remember how magnificent it is to actually have a body. So you take one of your paws, and I'm going to, not to be ableist, but I'm just going to talk about moving 2 paws. If that's not you, adjust. Take one paw, and you can either stroke or pat or caress or squeeze the other arm. And we're going to use 3 intonations. This is my arm. This is my arm. And then I like to bring a little wonder and a little awe in. This is my arm. A lot of people don't have both arms. I mean, it's pretty amazing to have both, right? It is a gift. This is my hand. How amazing to have all these little fingies, right? This is my hand. This is mine, by the way. Those are yours. These are mine. I get to do what I want with these. Do what you want with those, right? This is my chest. This is my belly. And you just reclaim the whole body. Move through the whole animal. Little pats, little caresses, little squeezes. You can do your perfect little face, your little earsies. Your bangs, if you have them, because there's nothing as magnificent. How they will get you some bangs.
Someday I'll be brave enough.
Someday.
Yes.
They would look really good on you. You have a good forehead for bangs. Can I tell you what I did? I bought clip-on bangs, and I wore clip-on bangs around the house for like 2 months.
That's a great idea.
My hair's really, like, it's short right now, but it's usually like almost to my butt. And so it's a big commitment, right, Dr. Nicole?
Yes.
It's a huge commitment, bangs. If you don't, so anyway, I would get some clip-on bangs. If you've got $12 in a wig shop. Okay, good. You see practical magic around here, right? Reclaiming your human body, reclaiming your soma and your spirit, and also hair care tips. We do it all.
We do it all.
Why not? Why not? We're modern women. Let's go. So I love This Is My Arm because it's so simple. It's so easy, and it serves these multiple purposes of bringing us back towards the animal. And so the work is really just to continue and continue and continue to come back so that it becomes your new normal, so that the neural grooves, the neural pathways in your brain understand and believe eventually, it'll take some time, about 28 days or so, to create new neural pathways. Being grounded in self, present with self, oriented to self, hearing my own voice, hearing the sensations in my body. These are normal. This is what I do. This is how we do. Old sweater? No, thank you. This is how we do. And so we do that when we're not stressed. We do that when things are easy. We do that when things are chill, when you're just like alone in the kitchen in the morning for 2 minutes, right? Every time you go pee, taking 2 extra breaths feeling your body, feeling your hands under the tap, and coming back to the body and making that the focus of your life for a very short while, right? It doesn't have to be years to start to see changes, but this new grounded, centered version of you becomes the you that emerges. So that when you say, I won't be in this conversation if you're going to yell. If you can lower your voice, I'll keep talking to you. But if not, I'm going to walk out of the room, and we can talk later when you can talk to me like a grown up, and you can set a boundary like that and not want to completely die, which is what most people report the first time they set like a really solid boundary. So if you're out there, you're like, I could never say that. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. It takes practice. And in my world, what I've realized is what it really takes is that grounded, oriented, really present in self soma, that body-based connection, to be able to make boundaries like that and not just like fold like an origami swan the second someone pushes back, right?
Yeah. I'm so
Yeah.
curious. So, like, once you get to that point where you feel very grounded in the body, where you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm like feeling good, like when I'm in
Yeah.
like my safe place,
Hmm.
how do we
Yeah.
expand that
Yeah.
capacity?
Yeah. Right on. So you start with the safest people and you really just circle out. So an exercise we do is we write out our circle of safety, because
Mm,
it takes a
I love
minute to
that.
be like, I really shouldn't talk to my dad about emotional issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't realize that till I like wrote it down on this paper full of circles that she gave me. And then you realize like, that's not where I'm going to practice. That's not where I'm going to build this skill. But I might call my best friend's name is Sunai. I'll call Sunai and be like, hey, can I set some boundaries with you? And I remember the first time she was like, wait, what, with me? What did I do? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Can I set some practice boundaries with you? She's like, oh, go off, girl. Right. And then I just was like, you cannot yell at me. She was like, okay. And laughed at me. And that's what my nervous system needed. It needed like another woman my age to be like, you're silly. I would never, why would anyone yell at you? And my whole body was like, yeah, why would anyone yell at me? And so we practice, go where it's warm, go where it's safe, go where it's silly, go where it's soft. Again, this is why I run groups, so we can do it with others who have shown up to be sweet, silly gooses together on purpose, right? Towards our collective growth and healing. And then go one step further. I like an unsuspecting stranger,
Oh.
right? So like saying a no thank you at the salad bar, but like doing it with your chest held high and with your whole body. And they're just like, okay. Right? They don't know what you're doing, but inside you're like, I said no, and I didn't die. I told him no breadsticks or whatever. Right? And just let your nervous system just have these little snacks, right? These little somatic snacks of presence and of exerting yourself, saying what you want and need, and saying the biggest, scariest word for so many human socialized as women, which is no. Nope. Nope. No. And just
Right,
let it
without
be safe.
explaining yourself after that.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. And
Yeah.
then the other thing it does is I just wrote this whole diatribe about therapy speak and how I think we've gone a little off the deepest of the endists. But the nice thing about practicing things like this with the people you love is if I set a boundary with Sanai and she said, wait, why? I would like to explain. Because I love her. She has
Yeah.
110% care for me. She's never pushing. She's just curious. She's also my best friend, so she's my perfect princess and can do no wrong ever. Right? Ride or die. And so I want to explain to her. And I want to use that moment as a way to practice explaining, not justifying. Okay, so why I said no was when that's your energy, we have a problem. When, oh, okay, yeah. So here's why I set the boundary. What I heard you say was, and we're chill. I don't see the problem. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Right?
I
And I
teach
think the
about something similar. I call it the House of Boundaries.
Yeah. So good.
And I think about it like the front porch
yeah,
is just like casual people, like the guy at the
yeah,
bar who's, are you adding an upcharge of tomatoes to that? No, I would not like that.
right,
But for those people, you don't necessarily have the level of vulnerability with them to give them an explanation, because
Totally.
sometimes if they're not like a trusted inner circle person, that could be weaponized. And so then I appreciate what you're saying about you're practicing on those warm, cozy people, which I would say would be inside of the house, maybe in the living room or the kitchen or even the intimate bedroom, so
Yeah.
that if I say no, no means no. And if I want to give you an explanation, if we have that trust and that rapport, you
Right.
can. But I love that you were describing it's not necessarily a requirement.
Right. And it's not necessarily bad or problematic.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I talk a lot. My training's in somatic experiencing. And so pendulation is kind of the whole thing, right? We go where it's warm, we go where it's dangerous, and we pendulate back and forth, right? To get the nervous system acclimatized to doing new
Mhm.
things. But I think there's also this pendulum swing that we can really sort of expect in healing, where we go from being this person with emotional outsourcing skills where you say no to nobody, never. I'm a yes gal. I'm a sure I'll do it. I might die any minute from exhaustion, but I'll bake those cupcakes for the PTA. Like, yes, yes, yes. We should expect ourselves to maybe head towards the all the no land for a minute, but not stop there. And that's what I think is worrisome when we mostly get our healing training from like social media, right? From like
Yes.
90-second reels, right? And you're just like, okay, I guess no one's allowed ever. We need to come back to the middle where we have discernment. And I think that's one of the big things that's lost in emotional outsourcing, because our focus is so outward, intentionality, in many ways, thoughtfulness. Like we're thoughtful for others, but not full of thought in our lives, if that makes sense. But our intentionality and our discernment and our connection with our intuition just go right out the window. And so that's one of the biggest skills we need to really grow.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
see a lot of times people learning, oh, I need to set better boundaries. And then they set the boundaries in a way that that feels like almost mean. Like it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
we can do this in a skillful way where
Right.
it's not like being mean to someone.
Totally. Right. We don't realize we wanted to make a boundary, but we built a brick wall. And like,
Yes.
Yeah.
of course, we're
Yes.
slamming our own head against it. It's a
Hmm.
brick wall. Those don't
Yeah.
really help anyone ever.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Borders aren't real, they're all
Yeah.
imagined. So
Yeah.
also that.
Yeah.
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 Flexible. And that's the
Mhm.
whole thing. Right. So when we talk about what's the point of nervous system regulation, all this somatic work we're all talking about, it is to be flexible.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go to sympathetic 10 if I need to. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, if a lion came into my house, I would like, I mean, I don't want to punch anything, but you see what I'm saying, right? I would like to have the capacity within me to defend myself and my beautiful 14-pound cat. He would take that tiger out, and you know it. A monster. But like, I want to have the capacity to go to sympathetic, right? And I want some degree of dorsal because that's Shavasana. It's lovely. It's nice, right? But it's all about being in that balance of flexibility that intentionality allows us versus just being subjugate to the, I was about to say the whims of my nervous system, but it's not whims, it's programming, right?
Mhm.
It's more
Mhm.
mathy than that. I don't want to be
Yeah.
subjugate to math. Come on now.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Of all things, not math.
Not math.
Biology, fine. Chemistry, all right. Math, no, thank you.
So what would you say if somebody is doing this work
Yeah.
and I have so many clients who come to see me and they live from here up because the
Oof.
body is broken, the body is scary,
Yeah.
the body is dangerous, the body is unsafe.
Mm,
So
yeah.
perhaps even maybe just saying like, "Oh, I have a hand." Like I
Yeah.
have someone coming to mind in particular who they were doing EMDR work on the doctor feeling their pulse because even knowing that they had a pulse was activating and scary.
Oh, little peanut.
Yes. So little kitten steps. So talk
Yeah.
about those kittens.
Yeah. So that's where I would, first of all, use myself as a real font of compassion.
Mhm.
So in my work, I use, partially because I'm Argentine, we are the pet name capital of the planet. And like every waitress will call you my love, my sweet. It's really
Mm.
lovely. But I also think it does a beautiful healing job in a really subtle way. So I think it's incumbent upon us as providers to have our nervous systems really regulated so we can show up as our most compassionate self, realizing that that therapeutic alliance is absolutely, it's vital. It's the groundwork. Right.
Mm.
And I think it's a large part, I will deviate and come back, I promise, of what's so broken about the medical system in the US context, and the Canadian context, right? Now is that we've, as providers, I was a primary care provider in a federally qualified health center, and I had 15-minute intakes.
Mhm.
Come on, I'm a compassionate animal, but that's a lot of paperwork in 15 minutes and like 12 prescriptions. So really being grounded in that compassionate space. And so for the client or the patient, trust your gut and trust your intuition and find someone who makes your nervous system feel like, Nicole, your smile, who doesn't feel comforted by that? Right, Hadley? I mean, look at
Mhm.
that. My whole nerve, I just look at you and I'm like, okay. So find someone who makes you exhale. Let's start there, right? So what are the kitten steps? Well, what we were talking about the slowly reclaiming your body through presence. And I start with presence and mindfulness, not meditation,
Mhm.
mindfulness and slow presencing, because it can be titrated so simply, right? It can really be feel your foot as you walk once in a day. And the additive effect of that over time really is a greater grounding and presence, but it can be made, it can be so simplified to really fit anyone's capacity, right? And my heart really goes out to that patient who couldn't experience their pulse like a sweet, tender animal, right? Like what happened to them? So that too, we need to normalize this for ourselves and the people we love. So conversations like this where we're saying it's, yeah, it's normal, it's understandable for someone to be completely freaked out by the fact that they have a pulse. There's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with you. Something not great happened to you and I'm really sorry, but nothing's wrong with you. And again, that's my whole move away from the blaming, shaming, defect language that we use around emotional outsourcing, and really shifting it towards this survival skill we've been talking about. So for that person, I would spend a lot of time really journaling about, reflecting on, and reaching out to others to have it validated that there's nothing wrong with you. You're totally fine.
Mhm.
This is a habit and a skill that doesn't serve you anymore, but you're perfect. This is where I would bring in thought work. So I teach a CBT based framework for working with our thinking, where we look at the observable facts of life, and then we look at our interpretation, and we recognize, much like the Stoics, much like the Buddhists, right? This is nothing new. It's just my new framing of it. But we look at our chronic habitual patterned, trained up, protective interpretation of the moment. So what are you making it mean that the doctor's taking your pulse? What is your habitual story? So then we understand in this thought exercise that our thoughts create our feelings. Again, this is within the context of an exercise for our growth. I'm not talking about the biological factuality of how thoughts and feelings are created. So stay with me. We then realize that our feelings fuel our action. If we take a sort of polyvagal nervous system framework, you're not going to cross the street into oncoming traffic if you feel scared. If you feel safe, your action is cross the street. So we then look at the actions we take, avoid the doctor's office, and the result that we create in our own lives. How is this impacting you and your daily experience of life? We do this again, not to shame or blame or to feel guilty for how we've been, but rather to start to understand how what we were taught as survival patterns actually does directly impact us. Because, we have so many thousands of thoughts a day. And when we can bring our awareness to the ones that do trickle through into consciousness, um, we can recognize that we don't, one, they're largely not ours, right? We were taught them. We're mimicking a parent. This is a funny one. I have a younger sister, and our dad is petrified of, well, petrified is a bit much. He is not a huge fan of the eight-leggeds. And we grew up not fans of the eight-leggeds. Meanwhile, our mother's from the north of Argentina, from the desert. Homegirl's not hanging with a snake. Not at all interested. There's a snake skin right here because she never mentioned it. I had no idea until like I was 40 that she was scared of snakes. So I wasn't taught that fear. I've never feared snakes. Why? But it took me like 30 years to get over the eight-leggeds. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to hang out with them. Right. So we learn these stories, we learn these interpretations of the world, these like ways of relating and thinking and experiencing life through the people that raised us. Right. So once we realize that, and once we realize that we don't have to believe our thoughts either, we can start to question them, and we can recognize the power of our neuroplasticity to simply rewrite them. Now, Mama said simple, not easy. Come on now. We're no fools. The three of us, not fools. It's a process, right? To rewire a human mind. I teach a protocol I call the Thought Work Protocol, where we actually move through these 6 steps to re-engage our neuroplasticity, to change our habitual thoughts, to create new feelings and new results in life. And it's pretty cool. And so I would layer that in with the somatic practices in community to help someone change their lived experience.
So good. Mic drop.
I
feel like that is like the perfect thing to end on. I think that is, there's so much here where it's body-based, but then I also love that you bring in the thought-based, because we need both. We need
both.
We need the top down, we need the bottom up, we need both, and we need the community. And I totally agree with you on that. I work with groups as well, because I'm like, oh man, like it does so much more for them than I could ever just do on my own, like one-on-one. So I'm a groups gal. I love it.
It's so
good. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your immense wisdom with us. Are there some good places that our audience can go to connect with you? Want to hear about the book too?
Yay. Well, I made your listeners a special treat.
Ooh, we love special treats.
Yay. So if you go to my website, Beatriz, which is just Beatriz in Spanish, Beatriz, albina.com/holistic, you can download a suite of nervous system grounding exercises, meditations, inner child meditation, all sorts of goodies. It's yours for free.
Wow.
So just download it. Why not?
Thank you
Can't
so
hurt.
much.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm just so grateful to be here. You two are so cool. Yeah. And my podcast is called Feminist Wellness. It's for humans of all genders. It's free every Thursday. So it does have a money back guarantee, which I appreciate. People seem to like that. The book comes out at the end of September, 9/30/25. It's called End Emotional Outsourcing, and you can find it wherever you find books. Dr. Kane was kind enough to blurb it for me, which I'm endlessly grateful for. You know, you made it on the jacket, right?
I didn't know that.
How cool are you? That's kind of a big deal. Well,
yeah.
Amazing.
You're a big deal. So, you know.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get it on my shelf. It's going to be
I can't wait to share it with you.
Same.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you both for having me. This is a delight.
And we'll make sure to share all of your links in the show notes. Everybody, please go give her a follow, buy her book, and leave some words of encouragement if you feel so inclined. Reviews mean everything, especially for a new book coming out. It helps the publishers know that you want it. So awesome. Thanks for listening to the Holistic Inner Balance. We'll see you all later.
Bye, everyone.